In yesterday's video, I talked about how the Rivian R1S might be a compelling alternative to the Tesla Model X. So now, when it comes to Tesla and their all-electric competitors, I want to do kind of the opposite here, because I honestly think Tesla is legitimately trolling Lucid as much as possible. Maybe they're bitter that Lucid was started by a former Tesla employee, and they've been using a lot of former Tesla staff in their mass production facility and that kind of thing. But either way, the competition is still a good thing because it results in us, the consumer, getting better stuff. And that's kind of what the Plaid Model S did. I mean, first of all, Lucid started talking about how the regular Lucid Air is going to come out next year and start at $69,900. And they were like, hey, we're pretty cheap now, right? We're going to be cheaper than a Model S. And then Tesla immediately, like the next day, lowered the price of the Model S to $69,420, which was epic and amazing. So they just kind of trolled them in the price point thing. For one, because you could buy that Tesla like today versus Lucid saying you could buy that at some point in 2022. And now Lucid Air is only a few months away from their first delivery, starting with the Lucid Air Dream Edition. And basically the recently announced Plaid Model S that is delivering in just a couple of weeks, that almost crushes it in a lot of different performance metrics. So for one, Lucid talked about how they have a quarter mile time of under 10 seconds at around 9.9. And then the Model S Plaid gets announced for way cheaper at $120,000. Lucid Air Dream Edition is around $170,000. And the Model S does a quarter mile time of less than 9.9 seconds, around 9.2, and a much faster 0 to 60 time, which despite a lot of the performance gains of the Lucid Air, I'm kind of surprised that it taps out at 0 to 60 at around 2.5 seconds. In fact, my guess is Lucid is sandbagging a bit here because it is a quad motor vehicle, and with such a large battery pack and so much high performance motors, allowing it to go well over 150 miles an hour, it makes me wonder if the vehicle is actually quicker than that in 0 to 60 times, because that's the same 0 to 60 time of a Plaid Model X, which is like a fairly large SUV. So to know that this super aerodynamic and clean minimal sedan is about as fast as that just feels a little bit weird to me. But 0 to 60 is just under 2 seconds with the Plaid Model S, so $50,000 cheaper, quicker quarter mile time, quicker 0 to 60. The one advantage here, though, when it comes to raw specs with the Lucid Air Dream Edition is probably the range and the horsepower. So the Plaid Model S that is starting deliveries in just a couple weeks has around 1,020 horsepower, and the Lucid is more around 1,080 horsepower, but the Plaid Plus Model S coming out later this year is pretty much going to smoke all of those specs as well, with a horsepower over 1,100, and on top of that, the range is probably going to be another distinct advantage with the Lucid, because even the performance variant, the Dream Edition, is going to go over 500 miles estimated by the EPA, which is pretty impressive, whereas the recently announced Plaid Model S, which is $50,000 cheaper, can only do 390 miles estimated by the EPA. So percentage-wise, it may not feel like a big difference in range because pretty much everything over 350 is like, okay, you'll be fine. It's just a matter of how many stops you want to have on a road trip. But still, if you consider that's a difference of over 110 miles in range, that is going to make the Lucid look a bit more compelling for those hoping to not have to stop and charge as often. The interiors also take very, very different approaches, all kinds of customizations and options within the Lucid interior, and it certainly feels to be built around the driver with its huge 5K curved display. I've actually visited a Lucid showroom myself. I recorded this video that's on the TV here, and I got to check it out in person. It's a very high quality premium interior, and I love being able to check it out, but I will also say the Lucid to me seems a bit less practical because it's not exactly a hatchback. So the back area is a very, very narrow trunk. I mean, there's a lot of different compartments, and the frunk on the Lucid is pretty big as well, but at the same time, something about having the whole hatch of the Model S open up on the back means that loading stuff up in this type of vehicle, whether it's going to be surfboards or baby strollers or that kind of thing, I feel like the Model S is just going to be a tad more practical because of that hatchback design. In the interior of the Tesla Model S, I feel like is less built around giving the driver great visuals and more built around and more focused on giving everyone in the vehicle a great entertainment experience, probably because Tesla is very driven and very focused on eventually hitting that level 5 autonomous driving, and their belief is at some point during the lifespan of you owning a Model S, it's going to be capable of driving itself, and when it's driving yourself, you're going to want to watch movies, play games, and that's why they're rocking, 10 teraflops of gaming performance performance in there, which means that for the time being, while you're parked or while you're charging, the entertainment on the inside of the Model S is going to keep you covered. Massive 17-inch screen, and it's apparently able to tilt left to right, which we haven't seen in person, but that's what the website is saying. You've got that active noise cancellation on the sound system. And while Lucid sound system, I'm sure, is going to be very premium as well, it certainly doesn't feel like there's going to be a whole lot of entertainment features when the car is parked or charging, or, you know, Lucid is not really promising much of a future when it comes to, yeah, one day this car will completely drive itself, other than just the typical level 2 autonomous driving features, you know, lane keep and adaptive cruise control. But I must say, between the Plaid and Plaid Plus versions of the Model S, Tesla seems to have their eye on Lucid. And one thing that Lucid was very, very happy to brag about before this refreshed Model S was, you know, we have one of the best aerodynamics of any car on the road. This is a super low drag coefficiency. And then right as the refreshed Model S drops, turns out, as the exterior might to some of you look very similar, and a lot of people were saying, Plaid Model S looks about the same. I wish they would have done more with the exterior. May not seem like a big difference, but the drag coefficiency saw massive gains, and now the new Model S with its updated design is more aerodynamic than the Lucid Air. So there might be some tweaks to the design that they can make to kind of leapfrog Tesla here, but at the same time, it certainly feels like Tesla knows what Lucid is doing and just wants to beat them in every metric possible, especially the Plaid Plus Model S, because something to keep in mind with the Lucid is that the Air Dream Edition is not the same as the Lucid Air Grand Touring. The Grand Touring is the one that actually can go 517 miles on a charge, so a little bit further, but a bit worse horsepower at around 800, so that car is going to be a little bit slower, but it will have better range compared to the Air Dream Edition, which is going to be more like 503 miles on a charge, so pretty close. They're 500 plus, so the difference between 503 and 517, it's basically a rounding error. But after Lucid unveiled that their car is going to be capable of doing 517 miles on a charge, not long after, that's when Tesla announced the Plaid Model S at Battery Day. Now they're referring to that as the Plaid Plus because it has the 4680 cells, and that's going to take it 520 miles on a charge, at least. Tesla is saying it's going to certainly be over that, and it's important to keep in mind every single prototype spec Tesla has ever unveiled, whether it was the Model 3, Model Y, even the Model X and S, the production model always achieved a better range than what was initially put forward. So there's a decent chance the Plaid Plus Model S could be more like 540 or 550 miles on a charge. But the fact that they just wanted to make sure that number was like 3 miles higher than Lucid, in my opinion, means that Lucid is kind of making Tesla work for a lot of these specs. You know, Tesla wants to be on top, and they may be open source patent and everything, but I still think they're very, very competitive, and pretty much every move Lucid makes, Tesla loves to combat that with, actually, we're better, we're faster. Lucid's like, we have the lowest drag coefficiency of any sedan, and Tesla's like, no you don't, boom! And we have the longest range of any electric car on the market, no you don't, boom! And I kind of love that. I love this rivalry they're having with each other, and I also want Lucid to respond, try to make their cars go even faster than the Plaid Model S, and go further than the Plaid Plus Model S. So honestly, if we're just looking spec for spec, Model S has clearly a lot of advantages here when it comes to price and performance, and in time, eventually, it will have advantages with range. Interior design is going to be complete personal preference. I know a lot of people hate the yoke, a lot of people love the yoke, and the good news is, if you don't like the Tesla Model S because of that updated steering wheel, and you don't like the gear stocks being gone and all that, Lucid seems to be keeping them. They have the full wheel, they still got the gear stocks and everything, so I'm glad we have some variety, because it would probably be a bit boring if every car company was just trying to make the exact same car with the same driver display, with the same autonomous driving features, with the same entertainment system. So the fact that we have companies that are very close to each other, and these luxury premium sedans are trying to compete with one another, but also taking such different approaches to design, interior, and autonomy and practicality and all that thing is great, because it means that there's no wrong answer. You know, you might prefer the Lucid Air, I might prefer the Tesla Model S because it's objectively better. Just kidding. But either way, I think both cars are very, very cool. I can't wait to see a Plaid Model S myself, and when possible, I would also love to test drive a Lucid Air Dream Edition or whatever edition they have available at the time. So feel free to let me know which one you guys would choose. I think it's a really interesting comparison, but appreciate you all for watching, and hope you have an excellent rest of your day. Take care.